Hello there, everybody. My name is Christian. I'm the host of the Disruptive Chef Entrepreneur Show. And I know you guys hear me say this at every single episode. Today's guest is going to blow your mind. As I read about her, and are you sitting? So she tells me, I'm a tactical sales coach. I am an advocate for refining the perfect business bedside manners. I'm hooked. I'm hooked. She says, I bring wealth knowledge of practical tips to elevate your hospitality game. And I said, we need to have her on the show. You guys going to meet her right after this. Hello again. I'm Christian, the host of the Disruptive Chef Entrepreneur Show, and today's guest is amazing. So, first off, Miss Mandi, thanks for being here and welcome to the show.
Hello. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So, as we learned about you and the whole idea of being that tactical as a coach and doing what you do, and you had me at the bedside manners, which is just absolutely awesome. And as we learned about that, I said, we need to have you on the show because our audience needs exactly that. And you're extremely good at. You're an author. You have your own podcast. I'm really excited for this conversation today.
Me too. Me too.
So, Miss Mandi, if you don't mind, give our audience and listeners here a quick cliff note. Where are you calling in from? How did this holding come to be? And how do you serve the industry today?
Ooh. So I'm calling in from San Diego, California. I've been here 24 years. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio. So all the coasts are represented here. Um, I serve the hospitality industry in a lot of ways. I run a couple businesses, so I find hotels and venues for people all over the world for their conferences and for their meetings. It's what most traditional people would say a meeting buyer.
Yep.
So I find venues, I negotiate contracts, negotiate food and beverage, interact with a lot of chefs and banquet people, and then I turn it over to my team to plan if they don't have a planner. And if they do have a planner, then my client then just plans the large conventions or the small advisory board or executive meetings. And I started an accidental sales coaching business, hospitality sales coaching business about 17 years ago when I was actually on the hotel side. So I was a sales manager at a hotel company many years
Mhm.
ago for many years, but many years ago now. And I had a venue operator ask me, "Hey, Mandi, we're growing our business. Can you help us?" And I was like, "Sure. Do you want to meet at my house on Saturday?" 'Cause I had a day job. And they met at my house on Saturday and we determined, how to grow their business, how to develop new revenue streams, how to get preferred pricing from vendors. All the stuff that sometimes as an entrepreneur you don't think about, and then before you know it 10 years has gone by and you realize like, "Oh, should I be scaling? Should I be more profitable? Should I be managing things differently?" So that is how FaceTime Coaching Company was born. That was how my sales coaching company was born. So I predominantly help teams, sales teams, either one-on-one or in a group setting, grow their hospitality business through more clever closing tactics, being more memorable in the marketplace,
Mhm.
having more fun with follow-up, and then digitally dominating through getting more leads through social media. It's predominantly hospitality, but I'll say over the last several years, sales is sales. So I work with any industry. I've worked a lot with manufacturing, public relations, beauty, technology, really any industry, depending on what they're looking to do.
I absolutely love that. And I'm so fascinated to learn more. And we feel the same way that you do, because for us as a team, we call it SAM. It's sales and marketing. So
Mhm.
we not just only need to date Sam, we need to fall in love and marry Sam because everything
Madly in love, yes.
is be connected with Sam. So talk to us a little bit. What inspired you to start in that career? It's not an easy career, the hospitality industry.
I don't know if I was inspired at all. I think it found me. I think my very first hospitality job, I was 12 years old and I was a hostess at a banquet and conference center. And then on Sundays, I came in and I washed the glasses and vacuumed all the carpet. And then I worked at an ice cream shop when I was 16. And I fell into it. When I was in Ohio, I was a marketing manager for that same banquet and conference center that I worked for when I was 12. I worked for them when I was 22 and 23. And, I fell in love with hotels then. It was
Mhm.
one of those things where we had banquet and event space, but we had no sleeping rooms,
Yeah, yeah.
and there was a lot of select serve hotels near us, and they had great hotel rooms, but no meeting space, so we did a lot of cross promotions, and I became obsessed with, "Wait a minute, once a hotel opens, it never closes? Like, what happens at 3 in the morning? What, like, you have to be engaging and smiling and serving and helping at all hours of the day. How
Mhm.
does that work?" And I slowly became obsessed with hotels and eventually got a job in hotels, and I worked for hotels for 13 years before I went on the other side of hotels. So I don't think I was inspired at all. I think it found me. I think the key is I listened. Like, how many times in your life does something appeal to you or excite you, but you just tamper it down because it doesn't fit the square box of whatever you think you're supposed to do? And I learned that lesson, over 25 years ago, that just listen to that calling, whatever it is, give it just a little bit of oxygen. And here I am, serving the hospitality community for more than 20
I
years later.
I love that. I love that story, and it's so true. I never really thought about it. Hotel, once it opens, it doesn't close. It's so true. I absolutely love that.
Hospitals and hotels. Yeah. Hmm.
So through this career, I'm interested. What are some of the lessons you have learned you still practice today, or what shaped you for you to be the person you are today through that career in the hotel and hospitality field?
Yeah, I think in our industry, it is so easy to be a jerk. I think it is so easy to get stressed out. I think it is so easy to just blame it on the work, right?
Mhm.
And I've had to learn some hard lessons over the years. When I was a very young manager, and when I was first put in charge of people, I was an awful manager because I was stressed out, because
Mhm.
I looked at it as an egocentric thing. I looked at it like, how does this make me look, instead of how are we serving the customer? How are we helping the business grow?
Yep.
And I think it's really easy to blame the business for your behavior. And so I think one of the greatest lessons I learned early on is, being kind is cool.
Yep.
And that if you can't be kind, it's totally okay to say, "Hey, I wasn't at my best yesterday. I am sorry. Will you forgive me?" It doesn't mean what I was saying is insignificant. It just means I recognize I could have done that differently. So,
Mhm.
how do we strap up and do this differently? So I think, recognizing kindness is cool, recognizing this is hard work, and to honor the small wins, celebrate the small wins. Like you were talking earlier offline about,
Mhm.
you're celebrating somebody doing downloads. Awesome. That's good job. Like, celebrate the small wins. All those small wins lead to big
Mhm.
wins. And the best way to recruit and retain is to really, really celebrate those things. And then I also learned to take breaks and understand the difference between breaks and rest. And I think hospitality will eat you alive if you let it. And I think, scheduling breaks in your calendar, every 90 minutes, I actually get up
Mhm.
and I close my eyes. We're looking at screens all day. I close my
Yeah.
eyes. I take a brain break. I look outside. Get a glass of water. But then also taking rests. Like I'm taking a vacation next week, and
Mhm.
I am not going to be online at all. And I've prepared all three businesses, all the employees, all the customers. Hey, I'm gone from this date to this date. And people will pinch hit while I'm gone. But guess what? Like, the business isn't going to die because I'm not there.
Mhm.
And so I think, all of those combined together. And I don't think these are different than any other industry. I just think because hospitality is so much about service, that we really have to listen so much more to ourselves. Like, when your brain needs a break, when your body needs a break, when you're not
Mhm.
at your best, when you're feeling burnt out, we need to give ourselves that grace and take the time for that.
I absolutely love that. What really resonates with me is the breaks, because
Yeah, I
in the
agree.
hospitality industry, we are not good at that. We
Mhm.
are the people which providing care, but nobody cares for us, for the people which provide the care.
Mhm.
And for me, what happened? I have my little Chihuahua here, and she's now our
Mhm.
office mascot.
Mhm.
And for me, I do exactly what you said. I think it's about 40 minutes. So we work in 20-minute chunks. So
Mhm.
every 40 minutes, I walk outside with her. I spend some time with her, gets me up, it gets her up. And it kind of provides a little bit of break throughout the day. But in the hospitality industry, I spent last week out in Chicago and St. Louis and Kansas City. And I walked into one of my restaurant friends, and he said, I haven't had a vacation in 23 years.
Mm.
It's not healthy.
It's
I don't, and he was,
not no, you can't
you know,
serve people that way either if you're not serving yourself.
hmm
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
not a good idea. So Tim, if you're
Mhm.
looking, listening, you know, go take a
Tim,
vacation.
take a
Um,
vacation, Tim. We'll book it. I'll book it for you.
yeah, just let it go,
Help
Tim.
you.
Move on.
We'll
And
do a GoFundMe for Tim's
yeah,
vacay. Let's do it.
Bruce is his sous chef. Kick him out the door. Kick him out. Um, no, and but in the industry, he's one of the older generation. They wear it almost like a badge of honor. You know what? Look at me. I can take work for 23 years. Don't take a vacation. It's not good. Not good for yourself. Not good for your coworker. And it's certainly not good for family life. So I love what you said on the lessons you have learned throughout the career. So from your perspective, now I love what you do with sales. I love, and we want to talk a little bit more about the book you have. But from your perspective, what are some of the biggest challenges which the hospitality industry is facing today around what you do and how they could do better?
I think currently, right now, the most relevant challenge is cross generational interactions.
Hmm.
I think right now we have 6 generations at play, right? Like, how many hotels and restaurants have you been to where Stella has worked there since you've gone there and since your parents have gone there and your grandparents have gone there? Like,
Yep.
hospitality is one of those things where you have multi generations of people, and I don't think we're giving each generation enough grace. I think we're
Yeah.
being too
I love
judgy.
that. I
I
love
think
that.
we're making some assessments that are not fair, and I don't think we're trying to understand each other. And I
Hmm.
think if you are Gen Z and you make an attempt to understand a veteran, or if you are Gen X and you make an attempt to understand a boomer, or if you're a boomer and you make an attempt to understand a millennial, that is the first step in making the business machine move forward better. And your guests are going to feel that, right? Like, think about just an average banquet department. You've
Hmm.
got people that have been there, the coffee breaks person that might have been there for 30 years. And then you've got a super junior AV person coming in, and they literally don't know how to talk to each other, and
Yeah.
they're not trying. So I think the first step and the biggest crutch, the issue we have is like, let's get to know each other's generation. Let's stop being like, oh, well, they're not spelling properly, or oh, like they use too many words. Let's just try and understand each other. Let's try and communicate with each other on each other's level. And let's be curious to how we can be more effective. And I think
Love
that
that.
would be the first thing I would
Mhm.
say. We're being
I,
too judgmental, and we're not
I love
maximizing the strengths of each
and
generation.
for me, as you talk about this whole intergenerational thing and how many generations are in the industry, there's very few industries where you will see that many
That's right.
generations. I absolutely love that. So how do you feel, that gap can be bridged? I love this also, about listening, because I think the way a boomer generation listens is different than a Gen Z or X, and the way they communicate is different. So where is that happy medium?
So, a couple things. You just nailed it about listening. Like, you have to listen so hard you hear beyond the conversation.
Hmm.
And you also have to be aware that everybody listens differently.
Yeah.
So, if some people are into an audio message and you're not into an audio message, you have to let them know. I can't tell you the number of people on my team that send me an audio message. I hate audio messages because, like, if I had time to listen to an audio message, I'm just going to pick up the phone and call you because it's going to be a lot faster.
I love
But
that.
but a lot of people on my team love an audio message, and I have to tell them, "Listen, I know this is convenient for you, but if you wanna get the most out of me, send me a text, shoot me an email, like, here's a couple different ways." So I think setting boundaries and speaking up for how you prefer to be communicated with,
Yeah.
but being open to how other people are communicating. So let's just say that person says, Well, the reason I'm sending an audio message is because I'm dropping my kid off, I'm walking my dog, maybe, maybe I don't have 2 hands free. Just saying like, "Hey, okay, we can't do audio messages all the time, but
Mhm.
on the rare occasion, okay, that's fine." And maybe if you're constantly doing 2 things at once like that, let's look at your time management. Like maybe we can help you with some time management strategies where, you know, from 9 to 9:45 every day, that's when you get your communication out where you have both hands free kind of thing. So, I think the first things first is being setting clear boundaries for yourself on how you want to be communicated with and then sharing that across generations. I think the second thing is listening. I mean,
Mm.
I just did this yesterday and on Sunday with a couple friends. Their kids were one was 17 and the other one was 20. And I just said, like, tell me the words that are out there right now. Like, what's in, what's out? What do I need to use? Like, I learned brat, I learned extra is out, I learned cap is on its way out. Like and will I use those things in a sentence? Probably not. But I think it's important I know what they mean if they are used in a sentence. So I think just asking different generations like what's in, what's out. And then, really
Mhm.
listening and apply what you can and educating other people in your same age range or older. Be like, hey, look what I learned today. And again, they may use it, they may not, but just stop judging and try and learn more.
Yeah, what I learned, with that sentence, I need that
Mhm.
some people just need more riz, they just need more riz.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
I mean, I so relate to that because, my family, my wife, when she, called her mom, she texted her, and her mom kept saying, "Why are you texting me? I need to get my glasses. I need to look at it. Why don't you just call me?" And I realized that, the day we, very overconnected yet underrelated. And even with my kids, there's days I says, just call me because if the text is that long, call me,
Yeah.
Um, so
No, I agree, and I think we're making an assumption about generations below us, but I
Mhm,
also think we've got to think about generations above us. Like, you just nailed it when you're like, "Oh, your mom has to get her glasses, do this, do that." There's 3 steps she has to do just to read a text from you. So, how can you accommodate that for efficiency? Just give her a call, right? So,
mhm,
we have to allow ourselves to be a little uncomfortable and a little inconvenienced if that means a little more efficiency and communication. And also I think when you see something happening that isn't working. So I'll give you an example. I have a vendor that I've worked with for a really long
mhm,
time, and he does everything on his phone. And when it comes to events, I was doing this top client event, and there's just only so many details that can be handled on your phone. Like, at some point you've got to pull up on a laptop or a computer and actually line through everything line by line. And he was missing some details. And
mhm,
I let it go for a little bit. And then I said, let me ask, like, how are you reviewing this information as it comes up? And he said, on my phone. And that's when I said, listen, I know that works for you, but when it comes to these complicated big events with these ever changing schedules that you need to be up to date, it's going to benefit you more if you have an email chain. And I know an email isn't something that you're used to, but it may benefit you to learn how to do that because you are missing details because you're not using, a
mhm.
computer or something. So I think also just giving honest feedback, and not in a way like a judgy way, like, what the hell's the matter with you? But in a way of like, here's what helps for me. This may help you. And I've also noticed some things have fallen through the cracks because you're not doing it this way. So I think,
I
I just think being collaborative in the whole
I love
communication and
that. So
feedback. Yeah.
last week I traveled with somebody. I traveled with a laptop. Okay. He says,
Hmm.
"Oh my God, Christian, what are you? You traveling with a laptop? I do everything on an iPad, the little iPad.
Yeah.
I don't even bring a computer anymore. I mean, how archaic is it to have a computer?" And then we sitting there, and there's just what you said. He missed some details. I said, "How do
Hmm.
you do your email?" "Oh, I have this program. It takes my email and it gives me a synopsis of the email." Really? you know, and
You're
I'm not
missing
sure.
details. Yeah.
Um, and so, but he believes that he's so effective by not traveling with a computer. He doesn't need to bring an extra charge. It's just the whole thing.
Well,
Um,
when he gets fired from a client because he missed a detail, then he'll learn, right? I
my,
mean,
my,
we
my,
all
my
learn. We all learn one way or another.
and in our organization, we have our email rules because the generation who works with me doesn't believe in email. So we
Mhm,
had to create email etiquettes, and this we have three things. The number one is outline the problem, clear, concise, don't make it too long. The second
mhm,
thing you need is propose a solution, and the third thing is a call to action. Do you need me to
mhm.
act on it or somebody else?
Yeah.
And that seemed to work really well for us. And but it was a learning curve for me because I came in, hey guys, did you check your email? Oh, haven't checked it in a week. It's different generational thing.
Yeah.
But for us, what worked really well, I met this person, and oh man, I remember where I met her. But she said there's three things that need to happen. You need to have your non-negotiables. We're not gonna do that.
Mhm,
Have a clear thing how you want the emails to be. I was like, I like that. So we came up with our three, and then
mhm,
also what they expecting you to do. There's
mhm.
something they just want you to know about, and some things they wanted you make a phone call on. And that's where we added that whole idea of what is the call to action? Who needs to make that? And it
Mhm.
seems to work really well for us. And maybe our listeners, if you need something, works really well for us. Adopt it.
I love that. That
Mhm,
rules of engagement is so important. I
mhm.
love that. It's great.
So, Mandy, you're doing so many amazing things, and you're out there with sales and the relationships you build. So, talk to me and to our listeners a little bit. What are some of the strategies you use to build meaningful, long lasting relationship with your clients?
I love this topic. So, ask better questions. So, take those silly, dumb questions off the table. So, how are you? I've completely taken how are you off the table and I've replaced it with what made you laugh this week? What's for dinner tonight? What's on tap for the weekend? Because if you think about it, how many times have you been in that situation where you say, "How are you?" I'm great. How are you? I'm great. It's this all American great off. But like, are you really? Are you really great? Like, it's not fair for us to have this expectation that people are going to be honest with you. Like, how would it look if we were honest? Like, how are you? I'm tired. I'm grumpy. My dog's making me crazy. And my husband will not agree with me on the countertop I want for our renovation. Like, nobody is going to answer honestly. So instead of
So
expecting
true.
people to be honest like that, take how are you off the table and replace it with deeper, better questions
Love that.
that actually get you to a deeper relationship. So if I were, let's try this. This is super fun. If I were to say, Krisha, what made you laugh this week? How do you answer that?
Um, when we connect with our team, we kind of re-went yesterday at lunch. We do a family lunch, and we talked about all my little idiocracies because I use the same words all the time, and they were just fun making fun of me, and it makes me laugh because, yeah, it's that they viewing me a lot different than I view myself.
It's that self-deprecation, right? Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
what's an idiocracy that you always use? And they're like, oh boy, here he goes
Um,
again.
so my dog is this thing. They said,
Mhm.
Christian, do you realize you talk to your dog like it's a person? It's a dog.
Aw, I do too.
So that's one of my things. I talk actually as a person.
Aw. What's your dog's name?
Her name is Rosie.
Rosie, and it's a chihuahua, right?
She's a Chihuahua. Yeah,
Yeah.
and she's out cold.
Oh, good. So see what just happened there? Like, if I were to said, "How are you?" Be like, "I'm great." But what I learned is that you love your dog, Rosie. You're
Hmm.
obviously an empathetic, adoring dog dad, and that you have a great relationship with your team. That they're comfortable enough with you to be honest. That like talking to your
Yeah,
dog is weird. They think like asking deeper questions is the first
I,
way I
I,
think to build deeper
I
relationships.
I love that. I have a half a page of notes already, so I
Oh,
absolutely love it.
good, good.
Deeper, better questions. I love that.
Deeper,
And
better
then
questions.
also
Yeah.
for me, what's really important is I want my team to see me who I really am. And for me,
Mm.
when I come in, as today we had some stuff, and also I not that they need to know all the details, but there's times I go off a call, this doesn't go didn't go well, and we need to be careful here. We need to do this, and I want them to know that all collectively their actions have an impact on the bigger picture. And
Mhm.
therefore, for me, without oversharing, I take times where I just sit there and say, hey guys, did you know? Hey, were you aware of this? And I want them to know that they part of something bigger. We
Yeah.
supporting companies every single continent. people behave different, expectations are different, they communicate different, they want to be communicated to differently, the expectations are different, and we can't treat all of them the way we treat the guy from Canada. The people
Mhm.
from Singapore, there's certain ethic we need to respect. And so for me, I kind of share this with them, because I want them to know that email you wrote yesterday created this. The process we developed, we need to
Mhm.
tweak.
Yeah.
And that every single action from all of them has a combined impact on who we are as an organization and how people view us.
Yeah, I mean, you're so spot on, and there's so much data and research out there. Harvard Business Review, HubSpot, Salesforce, Ernst and Young. There's all of this data out there that shows that when you reveal a little bit about
Mhm,
yourself, other people will reveal a little bit about themselves.
mhm.
Now, you don't have to reveal all the things. That
Yeah.
can get super weird. But when you involve people in the process and you let them know, "Hey, when we do this, this is what happens."
Yep.
There's so much more buy-in, and there's so much more respect for the process. So, and I think that's another way to build the deeper relationship. It's the reveal. Like
Yep.
a lot of times people won't reveal themselves because they're nervous or they didn't grow up that way or culturally
Mhm.
people don't talk about themselves. All of that is okay. So sometimes you've got to step up and take the lead. Sometimes you've got to be the one to reveal first and then watch what happens. People will reveal who they really are.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I think that's important to building deeper relationships too.
I I love that. So, you obviously have a very demanding career. So how do you maintain that? I hate the word balance, but how do you maintain that structure of making an impact in your business, taking care of yourself, and also, hey, it's all about health and longevity. How do you manage that?
Well, I never used to be good at it, and, I would say I've been working hard at it for about 9 years. So, in 2015, I was diagnosed with severe anxiety disorder, and apparently I had it my whole life, but
Wow.
it was latent, and my body chemistry changed as 40-year-old ladies' bodies change from
Hmm.
time to time, and, a body chemistry of anxiety developed, which I didn't know, and my anxiety disorder isn't, I don't worry. Mine
Yeah.
is very physical, so my arms tingle, my ears ring, my vision gets blurred, my jaw locks, like, a lot of physical things happen before the actual panic attack sets in, and that was a real shock for me. That was a shock to the system because before I got help for that, I was having these episodes and I wasn't paying attention to them. And one of the episodes got so bad, it took me to the ER.
Wow.
And when I thought I was having a heart attack or I thought I was having a stroke, I had just had a panic attack.
Wow.
And the crazy thing was, it was a very calm, beautiful Friday afternoon in San Diego. I wasn't in the middle of a huge rush or anything, but my body physically had been so used to that fight or flight. It had been so used to that race and that drive that it had become craving for that race. So when I went into a calm state, my body didn't know what to do. It started
Wow.
freaking out, looking for that adrenaline.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I learned a lot. I hired an anxiety coach. I worked with my OBGYN. I worked with my general practitioner. We sunk up and we learned what to do. We learned strategies. And
Hmm.
some of these strategies are to take breaks every 90 minutes. I make my health my number 1 priority, like, number 1 priority. Like, I have a somatic breathing appointment later today.
Yeah.
I know when I'm reading, I think more clearly, I speak more clearly, so I try and fit in, reading 20 to 30 pages, a day after dinner. If I don't work out at 6 a.m. in the morning, the days are too crazy, I won't get to it. So, I mean, I think and this is over 9 years, and I'm constantly practicing new things, but if we do not take care of our health, there is no balance, and
Hmm.
then another thing I learned from this whole episode is, time management. Like, I can crush time management now by using my calendar, by time buckets, by focus timing and using a timer to time things out and
I
really just sticking with that. So, I mean, there's a
love
lot. I mean, I could go on for about an hour and a half on this, but
no, but
it's a practice. It's a
I
constant practice.
exactly. For me, it's being intentional. You're being very intentional
Yeah.
how you manage each of this, and I absolutely love that. So,
Mhm.
with all the experience and all the things you went through, so what advice would you give to somebody who wants to start out brand new in the field and kind of work you do?
Listen, absorb, ask questions, and say yes, even if it's outside of your scope. If somebody invites you to do something, say yes if you can't. Now, I say yes with the disclaimer. Say yes as long as it's not breaking a personal boundary for yourself,
Mhm.
and say yes as long as it makes sense with your time management plan. Because I also think in hospitality, we say yes to too many things and we've got to get better at saying no. But if I'm first starting out, if I'm in my early 20s, I'm gonna say yes to everything. I'm gonna get as much experience as I can. I'm gonna meet as many people as I can and learn as much as I possibly can.
I love that. So for the people listening, I love. By the way, I have more notes on here, and I hope that our listeners take notes. Don't take notes while you drive, but earmark this episode. Make sure you save it. Make sure you give us some review. Let us know what you think on some of the things Mandy just shared with us, and then also share it with a friend who you feel has exactly that. They feel like they need to do 100 hours a day, or they need to do Tim 23 years no vacation. Okay, so Bruce, kick him out the door. Make him go on vacation. Um, so let our audience learn a little bit what you're working on. So let us look behind the scenes, what's going on with you and your organization. What are the one or two things you focus on for the next 6 months?
Oh, I love that question. I'm gonna steal that for my podcast. Thanks, Christian. Um, so a couple things. I love sales coaching and I love
Mhm.
speaking on stages. And the one of my favorite topics is business bedside manner.
Yeah,
I trademarked it. My next book is Business Bedside Manner, and it's my most popular speech on stages.
I love that.
And I'm always working on fine tuning what business bedside manner is, what the components of it are, and how people can implement it into their day.
Hmm.
So, business bedside manner is a big part of my daily world and continue to fine tune that. And then our podcast, I co host a really awesome weekly show called Adventures in Business. And we interview thought leaders, founders, and CEOs about their trips and triumphs, and we want people to be real and share it. And I'm learning about the podcast industry. I'm learning where all the marketing dollars are shifting
Yeah.
from billboards and TV and radio over to podcasts. I'm learning how to be a good interviewer, and so. If people want to listen to the show or if they want to tune in, we're live on LinkedIn every Mondays at 1 o'clock at Pacific Standard Time. We also have a YouTube channel where we
Mhm.
repurpose the information. So, I'm learning more about the podcast world, and then I'm building another the book about business bedside manner.
Awesome. We definitely need to have you come back because that alone needs to be a whole conversation around
For
publishing
sure.
books, writing it. What was your experience? And I would like you to have you back within the near future because we relaunching our book writing course in September. I would love to get
Mm,
your experience, how it was for you to write your first book. So for
I
our
love that.
listeners,
I loved writing my first book. Yeah, I'll talk about that anytime. That was a great
we definitely
experience.
need to have a conversation around it because
Yeah.
my very first time was not a great experience.
Oh, no.
So we definitely need to have a conversation around that. But I want to be respectful of your time. But before we signing off, you need to tell us how can people get a hold of you, and then welcome to rapid fire question. My team just
Ooh,
gave me 30 brand new question. We're gonna ask you 5 questions to know a little bit more what makes Mandy tick. So with that, help our listeners understand where they can learn more about what you do and how they can consume your content.
Yeah, so mandigraziano.com. So Mandy with an I and Graziano with a Z is my website. If you Google Mandi Graziano, you'll find me on all the channels. I'm very active on LinkedIn, and that's how Christian and I
Mhm.
connected. And I love the LinkedIn community. So you can do that on Instagram as well, Mandy_Graziano. And I respond to all my own DMs. I am available. I love meeting new friends. And I love learning about what new things people are out there doing too. So please reach out anytime.
Awesome. That's really cool. And by the way, I'm a testament of that. I reached out to her because I loved what she said about a friend of ours, a joint friend of ours, about a comment he made. And as I read, I was like, wow, I need to know her. And for me, there is power in action. I came back here. Actually, I had my car's parked right outside. I see this thing. I come back in here. I write you the text, say, hey, I would like to connect with you. So, and you do were kind enough to respond back. So we
Mhm.
really appreciate that. So with that,
Yeah.
I want to thank you for being here today. But before we wrap up, let's get into rapid fire questions. So the way this
Ready.
works is, Miss Mandy, you give me a number between 1 and 30. I read the question and then you give us a response.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. Number one.
29.
29 is a very good one.
Mhm.
If you would only be able to do one cuisine for the rest of your life, what cuisine would it be and why?
Mediterranean, hands down. I love grilled proteins. I love greens. I love feta. I love olive oil. Like Mediterranean, hand down.
Awesome. Give me another number.
9.
9. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Yes. I know that's controversial, but I do like a Hawaiian pizza.
Ah, you just made a whole group very upset about that.
I
Okay.
know, I know.
Next number.
10.
Oh, if you will be a kitchen utensil, what utensil would you be and why?
Ooh, I think I'd be a spoon.
Okay, and why?
I'm always serving and,
Love
serving and scooping. I like a scoop. I like a good
love
scoop,
that.
and I like to serve. Yeah.
I love that. Really cool. Okay,
Uh,
give me another number.
2.
Number 2, if you could have for dinner with, if you would be invited for dinner and you could bring one historical figure, who would you bring and why?
Hmm. Historical. Do they have to be dead? Can they be alive?
I think they could be that. Yes.
Do I have to know them?
No, you
See,
don't. You
people don't
can.
know.
Yep.
Oprah. Oprah
Oh,
Winfrey.
I want to do dinner with Oprah. I was
Opes is a legend. I would love more time with her.
I kind of was hoping, Christian, but Oprah will
Oh,
do. I
sorry.
take a back seat on Oprah.
After Oprah well, if you cook the dinner, because 'cause you're a good cook, if you cook the
That's not
dinner,
the
I'll
same.
bring Oprah. How about
Doesn't
that?
count. Okay, one last number.
Okay, 16.
16. What is a kitchen gadget you feel is way overrated?
Ooh, a kitchen gadget that is overrated. I don't know what it's called, but it's the thing that you put the citrus on and you squeeze it. Is it a
Yeah.
squeezer?
Yeah, yeah.
I think it never gets first of all, that's a lot of motion, number 1. I don't know I played football, flag football, and softball, and cheerleading, and like, my hands don't work the way they used to. It's too much dexterity. You barely get any juice. It's a pain in the butt to clean. Like, there's way better ways to get the juice out of an orange or a lemon or a lime than that squeezer
Ah,
thing.
there's a
That would be
whole
my
industry
assessment.
built on doing fresh squeeze. So there's another group you just made really, really upset.
Sorry.
Miss
I
Mandy,
like fresh squeeze, just not
oh,
that way.
same.
Yeah, yeah.
That's awesome. I'm not sure if there's another way. But with that, Miss Mandy, thanks for being here today. Thanks for the gift of your time. Thanks for giving us 40 minutes of your time and sharing so freely of your experience and the things you do. So if you have quick another 30 seconds, let's give people one word or one piece of advice, something actionable they can do today or tomorrow to see an impact.
Mm. When you're sending an email, pay attention to your subject line. Stop sending subject lines that say checking in or following up. No one's going to read that. And pay attention to the first 10 words of your email because
Mhm.
most people are reading them on their phones and you really only have 10 words to get somebody's attention. Now, I've
Love
stolen that from somebody else. I can't take credit for it, but it's a
that's really
practice that I
good.
use that's been very helpful.
So I have a whole bunch of notes, and this was absolutely awesome. But ask deeper, better question is my favorite. That was really amazing. And
Mhm.
we need to have you back to learn more about bedside manners in the hospitality industry. So with that, thank you for being here today. And to our audience, if you haven't done so, please check out all the great things Mandi does. And if you haven't done so, please save this episode, share it with a friend. Make sure you listen over again, because there was a really good nugget she left on a few questions earlier, which could make a huge impact the way you look at hospitality and how you service your community. So with that, again, thanks for being here today. And until next time, remember to disrupt your kitchen, fire up your career, stay hungry for change. I'm Christian, your disruptive chef, entrepreneur, host. I'm here with Miss Mandi, and we are out of here. We are signing off. Be the change, be the challenge, and be the person who sets the world on fire. Until our next episode, go out there and stay disruptive, everybody.